Right, time to bring in our guests joining us on this special broadcast. Joining us are Ambassador Ashok Sajjanhar and Professor Sanjay Bharadwaj. Gentlemen, welcome to this broadcast. If we can start with you, Ambassador Sajjanhar, your initial thoughts, opening comments on the shape of the India-Japan ties, the current state of play, and where the two sides might be headed towards the end of those talks.
Thank you very much, Ramesh, for having me on this program. A very significant visit, very momentous visit in a number of ways. I think both in the bilateral context as also in the geopolitical context, the turmoil and turbulence that is taking place in the world. I think first speaking about the relations bilaterally, this is the 8th visit to Japan by Prime Minister Modi since he came to power in 2014. I think this itself is a testament to the very strong relationship between the two countries, because this would be about the largest number of times that Prime Minister Modi has visited any country. This is, he has been, of course, to the United States, I think maybe 9 or 10 times, but otherwise, this is the largest number of times. This is also the 15th visit as far as the bilateral summits between the two countries are concerned. They started in 2006. So it is really without much of a break that these summit relationship between the two countries has been taking place. So on the bilateral context, I think it will be important to remember that it is not only in the area of economy, not only in the area of trade and investment, where Japan has been a very strong partner of India, but also in the area of science and technology, critical emerging technologies, particularly in the current day context, also in the area of AI, semiconductors, robotics, because these are areas where Japan has a head start over many other countries, and India, of course, is moving into that area, into that direction. As Prime Minister Modi has said, because India was colonized during the Industrial Revolution, it could not take full advantage or benefit. But it definitely, it aspires to be at the vanguard of the technological revolution. Also in the area of space, security and defense is another area where both countries are looking forward to take the relationship forward. And it is not only in terms of having joint exercises, but also joint production of defense platforms and equipment. Also, I think it is useful to remember that in the people-to-people contact, in cultural area, in fact, as you were showing just now, in the relationship between India and Japan goes back, it is a civilizational relationship between the two countries. As far as bilateral trade and economic partnership is concerned, there are a number of areas where both the countries have collaborated. It started, of course, in the 80s with the advent of Maruti, which was not only just a collaboration in the area of trade and commerce and investment, but also technological upgradation. And it has been taken forward recently by the bullet train collaboration between the two sides, between the transfer of technology in the area of Shinkansen. And it is expected that the decision will be taken during the current visit that from the earlier versions of Shinkansen E2 and E5, where both countries have collaborated, now it will be moved up to the E10 version, which is the latest version, and it will be in a custom fitted manner for Indian conditions, and it is likely to become available by 2030. Also, it is reported that as against what Japan had committed earlier of investing about 5 trillion yen in India's infrastructure development, it will be bringing it up to about 10 trillion yen. In other areas also, whether it is infrastructure development in the northeast, whether it is in terms of industrial corridor between Delhi and Mumbai, and in many other parts of the country. It has this collaboration has been very active. Also, if we look at the regional aspects, the regional cooperation, whether it was earlier in both India and Japan cooperating in building infrastructure in Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka, and of course, even going as far as the African continent under the Afro-Asian Growth Corridor initiative. Also, both the countries, if we speak about the regional and global Indo-Pacific security defense, both countries are collaborating. Both of them are active participants in the Malabar exercises. Both of them are active actors in the Quad initiative that was relaunched in 2017 on the margins of the East Asia Summit.
Yes.
And I think this time also, although there might be some speculation whether the Quad Summit, which is to take place in India this fall, whether that will take place or not, but definitely this issue is going to be a subject of keen discussion between India and Japan leadership. It is the whole concept of security, stability, prosperity, and peace and tranquility in the Indo-Pacific is something that is close to both the countries, and both the countries are affected by the aggressive and the expansionist policies of China, whether it is in the South China Sea, and of course, as far as India is concerned, on the continental shelf, also in the continental area, or because India has a 3,500 kilometer border. So there are many things, to discuss, both Ramesh and Mark. And I'm sure this visit, the first bilateral visit, in fact, after a period of 8 years, although Prime Minister Modi was there in Japan in 2023 for the G7 summit, 2022 in Tokyo for the Quad summit. But this is going to be the first visit after 8 years of bilateral visit, and is the first visit in that sense with the new Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba. So I think we can look forward to a number of agreements and a huge impetus to bilateral ties between India and Japan.
Indeed. Thanks for your comprehensive answer, Ambassador Sajjanhar. Let me turn to Professor Sanjay Bharadwaj now. And, the idea that India and Japan are providing a multipolarity to Asia, how important is this, Professor Bharadwaj, for the Asian century? After all, it was seen as the Asian century and the emergence of India and China.
Thank you for giving this opportunity and asking this very, very important, significant question about the multipolarity. We have seen that how the alignment and realignment taking place, particularly in Asian countries, where the rise of China, and it was told that rise of China is not a peaceful rise. And the way the Chinese, they have started develop their expansionist approach or revisionist approach, and India and Japan, both the countries are witnessing this expansionist approach in East China Sea, where they have the disputes with the Japanese, and then you can also see that how they have become the revisionist in the case of India's border. And the other Southeast Asian countries are also facing the same music, and the Chinese, they are behaving like a middle kingdom, and they are trying to control this. So, and this has been challenged at the multiple points and multiple occasions by India, Japan, and other South Asian countries. The first, you correctly pointed out that the emergence of the Indo-Pacific strategy, that was the brainchild of Shinzo Abe, that the former Prime Minister of Japan. He had come out with the open and free Indo-Pacific region, and there he pointed out categorically that how a country's sovereign rights for the navigation and trade should not be hampered by any other country's expansionist approach. So from there, India and Japan, they have started thinking strategically. This is one point. The second very important point, while Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited in 2015, what they said that we used to talk about democracy in the region. Now India and Japan will talk the growth and the protection of democratic ethos and values globally. And CJ Abe and Prime Minister Narendra Modi has come out that we will promote the democratic ethos globally. So in this background, what is happening today? You can see that tomorrow there will be SCO summit, and the three countries, Russia, China and India, they are coming together, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi is participating. The issue totally comes that while you are coming and you are understanding the realignment approach, or you can say that while the Chinese and Russians, they were trying to challenge the status quo of the global order, that the global order is not dominated by the West or the Americans. There should be multipolarity, or I would say that there should be multiplex engagement and multiplex demonstrations from different countries, where Japan can be one, India, China, Russia, all these countries can have different strength and different important significance globally. But what is happening, and this is that Trump's policy, particularly while keeping the tariff war, and that the other countries, the rest, I would say the West versus the rest has started negotiating individually, and that is not basically is good symbol of talking about the multipolarity and multiplex. And I think this SCO summit where Prime Minister Modi is going, that would generate a collective voice to deal with the West or Americans. But interesting point is that before going to SCO, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has decided to go to Japan, where Japan is also a very significant, very important Asian power, and has been economically demonstrating very well. India and Japan has very strong, very deep understanding in bilateral relations and also on the global issues, particularly keeping the Indo-Pacific strategy. So I'm sure that the India and Japan's partnership in three areas where I'm going to point out. One is, of course, the cultural linkages, the historical cultural linkages that India and Japan has from Buddhism, from Jainism, and you have seen that Prime Minister Modi has been gifted the Dharma. That is also a very good, very important, significant symbol of that never give up. Means that you never give up. India never gave up, and the Chinese will never give up. We will fight in the global competition, and we will work together to protect the national interest and to make the world multiplex or multipolar. And we will also protect the democracy and fight against the violent non-state actors like the terrorism and all that. So there is a very clear-cut indications from the cultural ethos that India, though is a soft power, but India also believe that we collectively we can defeat all the evils, and that is the major ethos of the civilizations, that we fight against all kinds of evil and we fight for the righteousness. So gifting this Dharma is a very strong indications that the Japan and India will never give up and will protect our global interest globally. The second very important point that has come out with the different kinds of summits, or you can say agreements and MOUs, is the commercial connectivity. While India is facing a tariff ace from the Trump, that we had been a largest partner with the Americans, but now the Americans, they are coming out because of their global hegemony, or I would say that Americans, the leadership, the Trump has a leadership crisis in himself. And he wants to, because Modi has been a very good host of G20, number one. The Modi had also talked that this is not the time of the war. A number of times repeatedly he said. So he was thinking that yes, Modi is a globally accepted, emerging as the globally accepted leader. So Trump has himself as a crisis, and he has come out with this kind of to this crisis. So my point is very clear here that we are looking at alternative avenues and alternative partners to expand the commercial ties, trade and investment regimes with Japan. Ambassador Sajanhar correctly and very comprehensively discussed about what kind of ties that two countries are having. But the most important point is there that we are talking about the human resource mobility. We are talking the new age technologies, AI and all that. So these are the need of the time, and that would basically compete in the globally. While we are talking about the semiconductor, while we are talking about cooperation in other areas and capacity building areas and all that. So that is the second very important aspect, that India and Japan, they are coming together to have the commercial connectivity so that you can have an alternative trade routes, alternative supply routes, and you can have the new markets. And the Japanese can invest that, like India is targeting, Modi is targeting. The Japanese have 66% billion trades of investment, $1 billion of investment in India. So this is the second point. The third very important point, is a connectivity issues. And while Ambassador Sajanhar has also pointed out, while there are number of connectivity projects that has come out, particularly the Chinese, they have come out, China-Pakistan economic corridor, trying to have the China-Myanmar economic corridor, trying to develop the infrastructure in other South Asian countries. Japan, they have also become a very strong partner to develop the connectivity projects in South Asian region. One very important region is the initiative in the Bay of Bengal industrial growth belt. And this Bay of Bengal industrial growth belt, that the Japanese, they are developing Northeast and trying to bring the Myanmaris, Bangladesh and all this area in the Bay of Bengal so that it can become a industrial growth hub and developmental hub. And in this, in the same manner, they have also developing Matabari port in Bangladesh. The same, and then you can also see in Sri Lanka what India and Japan has come out with a trying to that Eastern terminal port that they were developing, though that has not become still not very fast moving, but India is doing independently now because of the political developments in Sri Lanka.
Yes, Professor.
So, we are trying to have a strong supply chain connectivity within South Asia, and Japan is very strong, particularly coming out with the bullet train, that so that you can have more fast and even the freight corridors that the pennies they are coming, they are helping India to come out, connecting entire South Asian countries. So these are very important areas where Japan and India, they are looking not for today's generation, they are looking for the next generation. And I think entire discussions and what Prime Minister Narendra Modi's bilateral visit to Japan is bringing all and thinking about the next generations, and in the next generations will be working in the multipolar world order. Okay. There will be no one country that would dominate the discourse. There will be no single leader that would dominate the discourse, and this would fill the gap where there is a leadership crisis in the world and there is an institutional crisis in the world, because now there is no institutional. Now the state is functioning in the self-help system. In the self-help system, now Japan and India will work together, and I'm sure they will give an alternative discourse to the world.
Right. Ambassador Sajanhar, before we delve into the specifics of the bilateral partnership, I want to go back to the point you were making earlier about the Quad. Now, I got the sense, hearing you, that you were circumspect about the prospects of organizing a Quad summit this year in India. Why are you circumspect? What are your doubts?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question, Ramesh. And I am circumspect for two reasons, if I could mention it that way. Number one is the state of India-US relationship at the moment. And we have seen the manner in which it has tanked. It has come down over the last few weeks. I think we were going quite strong till about the end of June also maybe, and there was all the expectation and hope and anticipation that the bilateral tariff agreement, mini bilateral tariff agreement will be signed before the 9th of July, which was really the cutoff date when penalties would start coming in. And I think the negotiations had been held between US and Indian side, 5 sets of negotiations. There had been travel to and forth from USTR delegation to India and Ministry of Commerce delegation to the US. Even Mr. Piyush Goyal had gone to the US for the negotiations. So I think at the level of negotiators, it was understood that an agreement had been reached and the papers were on the table of Mr. Trump, and he was just to sign them off. But that signature never happened, and what we saw end of July and August is first 25% tariffs being slapped on India on the 1st of August, and 6th of August this threat of secondary sanctions or secondary tariffs because of India's purchase of oil from Russia. And we've seen after that, Ramesh, what has been coming. Not only Mr. Trump using very derogatory and deprecatory comments like India's economy being a dead economy, not being quite oblivious of the fact that India is the fastest growing major economy in the world today. And statements of a similar nature coming from his minions also, whether it is Peter Navarro, who said, India is acting as a laundromat. It is acting, with an arbitrage.
He's calling it Modi's war.
Yeah, now I was about to come to that because that was his latest comment on that this is Modi's war, which United States is funding, and it is because of the higher tariffs that United States business and consumers have to pay.
Right.
And also that all the money is coming to Russia. So cutting a long story short, the state of relations between the two countries, under the current circumstances, I am very doubtful whether we would invite Trump and Trump would come to India for the Quad Summit. And if Trump does not come, then there is no Quad Summit, because without America there is no Quad really. Otherwise, if without America we could have done something, with the trifecta, that is Japan, India and Australia. We could do it together, but that is what brings the muscle and the spine and the heft to Quad. The second aspect, if I could mention, Ramesh, is you look at any of the statements that have been coming out recently, whether it was with, when Mr. Foreign Secretary was asked, or when External Affairs Minister Jaishankar was asked, none of them, and questions were asked to them about the Quad meeting and the way forward. None of them in recent weeks has said anything that the dates are under discussion and it is likely to be held and it is most likely to take place. So that is because the Indian government itself has been rather guarded and rather reticent about saying anything, directly or confidently or strongly. That is why I say I have also, I'm not saying it with great confidence that the summit will definitely take place in India right now.